nature. John McCluskey is a little man, a flyweight, and this is his first professional fight.
I've had a really good amateur career. I went to the Olympic Games, the European Games. Now I feel I would like to make some money out of it. But I feel I would just like to turn professional.
John McCluskey, with no time to heed history or has-beens. And the has-beens, while he can only look forward, they can only look back, recalling in pictures and cuttings the praise of when they were champions. Analyse Jimmy Wilde, we cannot. His lightning speed, his perfectly timed blows, his gliding footwork baffle expert and layman alike. It passes comprehension how he can deliver blows that make strong men quiver, banging their heads back as if he would break their necks. If ever the term genius could be applied to a boxer, then Wilde is the boxer who most deserves it.
Maybe, perhaps, well, it was harder times in these days when these men were living. And they weren't getting as good a training as we are getting. But we don't believe it really.
Every inch a little gentleman, said a voice, as Baldock, fine-drawn, thin, tall for his 19 years, with a shock of auburn hair and a pleasant, modest bearing, went to his corner. He was champion of England, though he declined to the humdrum corner of some blousy pub. Nothing can take this from him, that at 19 he composed his Meistersinger and wrote his Lear.
I've never even thought about getting really hurt. So I think if you thought this way, you would maybe not get into the ring.
Yes, Jackie Patterson has been a great flyweight champion, and Scotland can be proud of him. And Jackie has shown himself to be a businessman in more ways than one. There is no reason to doubt that he will keep himself employed with some vocation for which he is best suited.
Maybe in the times of these other fellas, they weren't eating properly, sleeping properly. I think it could be doing with their training, their living. Never boxing. I don't think so.
I wonder what story will be told of John McCluskey 30 years from now.
On down now, England train, tomorrow way to Tuesday. They call you Black Rain Dog. Desire finds out as the soon grow tired. They call you Black Rain Dog.
So now we come on to a bantamweight contest between John McCluskey. There he is, John McCluskey, Scotland and ABA flyweight champion. When I say bantam, Simon Tiger, his opponent tonight, is boxing at bantam. McCluskey is still, of course, flyweight who takes on bantams of all kinds. McCluskey, the former Scotland and ABA flyweight champion. And boxing tonight, Simon Tiger, now of Liverpool, formerly from eastern Nigeria.
Gentlemen, please now. Now, gentlemen, your cooperation, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a bantamweight contest of 6 rounds, 3 minutes each round, of a match made at 8 stone and 8 pounds. Between and introducing to you, firstly, John McCluskey of Hamilton. And Simon Simon Tiger of Liverpool. At the weigh-in this afternoon, McCluskey weighed 8 stone, Tiger 8 stone and 7 pounds. The referee officiating for this bout, Mr. Harry Gibbs, and the timekeeper is Mr. Tom Powell. Thank you.
And Johnny McCluskey of Hamilton coming out for his 3rd professional contest. His first one in October last year, he outpointed Baby John, and in his 2nd he stopped Tony Barlow of Manchester. Simon Tiger isn't terrifically experienced as a professional, only had 14 professional bouts, but like McCluskey, a good amateur record. McCluskey giving 7 pounds in this contest, and that's a nice thing for Simon Tiger, who usually finds himself in the position of giving away weight. Scheduled for 6 rounds, this contest. McCluskey expected to be a very fine acquisition to the professional ranks. Very brilliant amateur with a great record. Busy, fast, clever box fighter. Tiger hooking viciously with the left hand, but not as to be expected with the style of McCluskey. McCluskey, a great ringmaster, uses the ring to full advantage, terrifically fast. And Simon Tiger, to give him his due, no slouch. Less than a minute left of this first round.
Tony on top. God, Tony on top. You're on top, Tony, don't worry. Box him, Tony, now. You're on top, Tony. Don't worry, Tony. Box him now. You're on top, Tony. Box him. Right.
Well, it's always good to see John McCluskey, the British and Commonwealth flyweight champion, in action in this country, because these days we don't get too much chance to see him. But here he is tonight, the smaller of these two, McCluskey from Scotland, with the long blonde hair, against the Welsh bantamweight champion, Colin Miles. Miles taller, longer reach, but half a pound lighter at 8 stone 6.5. And Miles with a big job in front of him here against McCluskey, 27 years old, who really is one of the classiest champions in Britain, but gets very little chance to show it because the flyweight division is so woefully short of boxers in this country. So McCluskey has to go abroad most of the time to find opposition, and in fact he comes to this fight having lost 3 in a row at places as wide apart as Melbourne in Australia, Texas in the United States, and Zurich in Switzerland. And that's the sort of journey McCluskey has to do in order to get fights. McCluskey very much the master inside. He knows a bit more about it and has moved in this fast round well. He started sharply and he's done plenty of scoring, and it looks as though we can mark this first round down to the British and Commonwealth flyweight champion, John McCluskey. McCluskey comes to this fight having fought in his last one for the European flyweight title and was beaten over 15 rounds on points by Fernando Azzari of Italy, and that took place in Zurich on March the 19th.
Round 2.
Miles, the taller of these two, won his Welsh bantamweight title last summer, and already he's successfully defended it twice. Notice how McCluskey uses every available inch of the ring. The little Scots champion is looking for a chance to get the right hand across, and once or twice he's pushed it across very quickly, and it's giving Miles some trouble. It's another good round for McCluskey. Well, Miles has probably lost those first two rounds, but he's the sort of boxer we know from past experience who can perhaps afford to drop behind and then come quite strongly, because his forte is strength. He's a durable young man. So we shall look now for signs that Miles is going to keep coming forward at McCluskey and perhaps try to wear the little Scot down. McCluskey's well used to going 15 rounds and has done so several times, so 8 rounds here isn't likely to bother him. McCluskey really has been around in the last few years, in the last 3.5 years in fact. He's boxed in Sweden and in Italy, in Switzerland, South Africa, the United States and Australia. It's interesting to watch the way McCluskey nullifies the superior reach of the Welsh champion. He's always moving inside, moving fast, getting the jab inside, and then coming in fast with the right hand. Miles sticking to the task gamely. Finding his face filled with left hands from McCluskey. McCluskey isn't likely to find the sort of punch with which to stop Miles, so he's going to have to keep this sort of speedy boxing up right to the finish. And there's always the chance that Miles will swing a big right hand and hurt McCluskey. They didn't hear the bell, and Harry Gibbs, the referee, has some guards between them, and call a halt at the end of the 4th round. The guest of honour here tonight at the World Sporting Club in Park Lane is none other than the former light heavyweight champion of the world from France, the fabulous Georges Carpentier. Well, if Miles's strength is going to play any part in this fight, then this is the period of the fight, the second half, when we shall begin to look for it.
Come on, McCluskey.
Colin Miles was a well-known amateur before he turned pro. He was the Welsh bantamweight champion as an amateur in 1969, and now he's repeated that success as a professional.
Second up, round 6.
Miles has a very proud record that he's certainly attempting to protect here tonight, and looks likely to do so, and that is that apart from one disqualification, he's never been stopped in the professional ring and has never been on the floor. And I would doubt very much whether the British and Commonwealth flyweight champion, John McCluskey, is going to dent that record tonight. McCluskey's well on his way to winning this, but not, I would think, on his way to stopping Miles. Miles's nose and mouth looking very sore. For the first time now we see a trickle of blood from the nose of the Welshman, who's had a rather bad round. McCluskey has really opened up in this round and has caught Miles with all manner of punches. He's put him into head and body, he's mixed him up. Uppercuts, hooks and straight punches, and they've all gone in. McCluskey gave a little wink to Danny Very, his trainer, as he went back to his corner there, and no wonder, because that, I think, was the best round McCluskey's had so far. He took a chance, he opened up against a man he obviously felt was not getting any stronger, and it paid off handsome dividends. Well, with 2 to go, one thing is absolutely certain, and that is that if Miles wants to win this fight, somehow or other, he's got to try to stop McCluskey, because he's not going to beat him on points. To win his Commonwealth title, McCluskey had to go to Melbourne, Australia, last June, and there he outpointed Harry Hayes, the cousin of Lionel Rose, the former world bantamweight champion, over 15 rounds for the vacant title. He's had 3 attempts to win a European title. McCluskey's failed each time, twice for the flyweight title, losing to the Italian Azzari both times, and once he attempted to win the European bantamweight championship, and there he lost on points to Franco Zurlo, another Italian. Miles has slowed right down. He had a bad 6th, and it's showing. The Welsh bantamweight champion, Colin Miles from Cardiff, has fought a game fight here all the way. He's always tried to make the running. He's always tried to take the fight to McCluskey, but invariably he's walked into a hail of punches. So now it looks to me as though McCluskey, the British and Commonwealth flyweight champion, only really has to stand up now for 3 minutes to win. So the brilliant, dazzling little speed merchant, John McCluskey from Hamilton, in the final round against the Welsh bantamweight champion, Colin Miles. And this has been a really first-class performance by McCluskey here, being seen in this country for the first time for 9 months, and giving us all here in the World Sporting Club a brilliant little exhibition of quick boxing. Never been in any real trouble, McCluskey, and really has treated the whole thing as a well-paid workout. I'd like to know how much distance McCluskey's travelled, because he's been circling this ring for 8 rounds and he's used every inch of it. And he's probably done a couple of miles. He's certainly done Colin Miles. And McCluskey in these closing seconds quite willing to stand when it's necessary to stand toe-to-toe and swap punches with the man who one would assume is probably a little bit stronger. A very strong boxer, Miles. But McCluskey has the speed and the superior ability. Closing seconds, and a really good performance by McCluskey. And McCluskey, it is the British and Commonwealth flyweight champion, wins that fight against the Welsh champion Colin Miles on points after 8 very fast rounds, and McCluskey hardly even breathing hard at the end of those 8 rounds. So that's a fine comeback to British rings after 9 months away from them by McCluskey, and we look forward to seeing some more of our British flyweight champion in Britain in the near future. We may well be watching a dying breed here. This is the British Flyweight Championship. The champion is John McCluskey, the shorter of these two in the dark shorts. He's 30 years old. He's held this title for almost 8 years, and this is only the second defence he's been able to make, because there simply aren't any flyweights about. And in fact, these two are the only 2 active professional flyweights in the country at the moment. The challenger, with this hairstyle, which looks about 15 years out of date. It's a toss-up whether his shorts are cut briefer than his hair. Tony Davis, who's had only 7 professional fights. He's won the lot, but only 7 pro fights against the experienced McCluskey, who's had 35. But it's worth bearing in mind that when McCluskey himself won this title in 1967, he himself had had only 7 pro fights. So these are the 8 stone men, and Britain simply doesn't seem to breed men this small anymore. It must be something to do with the welfare state. Well, of course, we've got Scotland versus Wales here. McCluskey comes from Hamilton in Scotland. He's the champion, the shorter of the 2 men in the dark shorts. Davis is very much the local boy, and here in the top-ranked suite in Swansea, a converted cinema, Davis has got the crowd on his side, but he's in real trouble and he's out. He isn't going to get up from that, I don't think. But McCluskey's done a fast job on him here.
6, 7,
Well, he
Tom counting. 8, he's up at 8, but he doesn't know where he is, but Tom's letting him go on. And we haven't had 2 minutes yet. And experience is telling, and Davies with 7 pro fights behind him. The challenge is almost at an end, and there's only 2 minutes on the clock.
7.
It stopped. 2 minutes and 3 seconds on my watch, and McCluskey has won a Lonsdale belt for himself. That's his second defence, 3 championship wins. The Lonsdale belt becomes his own personal property. So after waiting 5 years for a challenger, McCluskey at last found one and did an absolutely perfect job on him. One of the quickest championship fights of all time in Britain. It's not a record, but it's not far.